Okay, so welcome to the nutrition seminar. So first thing kind of going over today is calories. That's a big thing everyone says, calories in, calories out. That's how you lose weight. There's calories on all different nutrition labels. So, people make a lot of big deals about calories, but a lot of people don't actually know what calories are. Calories are essentially, it means energy. It's just a way to measure how much energy is in food or how much energy you burn. And then how that pertains to weight loss is, if you burn more calories than you're eating, then you're going to lose weight. And if you eat more than you are burning, then you're going to gain weight. As showed by this little scale here. Another big part of that is protein. So that's one of the macronutrients. So there's four macronutrients actually: protein, fats, carbs, and alcohol, which we'll go over all four. Protein is building blocks of the body. So you're going to find this in different, cheeses. You're going to find it in yogurt, protein powder, meats. There's small amounts in vegetables. And what that's going to do is basically help your body to build, repair, whether that's tissues, muscles, anything like that. And protein is actually broken down into the amino acids, which makes up our DNA. So if your body, can't repair its DNA, then you're actually not going to have as healthy of a life or long of a life. What you're going to aim for with protein is 0.7 grams to 1 gram per pound body weight. So 1 gram is just going to be like shown on this picture. There's 25 grams of protein in all of these different things. So say you have 3 ounces of cooked chicken breast, then you have 25 grams of protein. And if you're 150 pounds, then, you want to try and get close to 150, but it's okay if you get a little bit less. Big things with protein is it's really going to help with satiety. It's really going to help with your fat loss and muscle gain. It's not going to be super magical or anything like that. So you don't want to go overboard with protein, but you do want to get enough. It can really make a difference in whether you are making progress or not. Fats is another of the macronutrient. You want to get like a good amount of your calories from fats. So basically what fats are, it helps with hormones. It actually slows digestion and you increase fullness. So you feel more satisfied from those foods. That's why if you ever have like a really fatty like burger or something like that, or if you add butter to things like a lot of fast food restaurants do, just makes it taste a lot better. So that's why they add all those oils and all the high fat stuff. So you can find some really healthy fats. Those are going to be your unsaturated fats, the mono and poly unsaturated fats. Those are going to be in your nuts, avocados, olive oils, different seeds, and salmon. A lot of things come back to hormones. And if we don't have enough fat in our diet, then we're not going to have healthy hormones. And hormones is what does everything in our bodies. So we need to make sure that we're getting enough of those quality fats and trying to minimize the low quality fats. So the trans fats, the saturated fats, you don't want to get too much of those in your diet. Otherwise, your body can actually get kind of inflamed. But if you have more from these healthier high fat foods, your body is actually less inflamed. So it's anti-inflammatory. We have that word thrown around a lot. They say salmon and avocados and all that is anti-inflammatory, but it actually means like your body won't be as inflamed. I've actually noticed like if I do have something that's, lower quality fats or, high in sugars, then I'll actually feel more sore. My joints will hurt. I'll have brain fog, all these different things, versus if I have a much healthier fats in my diet. So just a little overview on fats. Carbohydrates. This is a big one because a lot of people tend to demonize carbohydrates. As you can see on the right side, there's, complex and then there's simple carbohydrates. The complex one, even those can get a bad rap sometimes The simple ones are going to spike your blood sugar. They might leave you a bit hungry if you crash from it. That's from, like your candy, your cereal, juice, ice cream, all those different things. But they can actually be used at certain times. So if you want to have something like that, I mean, you got to have your cake. You got to have that at least a little bit, just because, you don't have to be healthy all the time to lead a healthy lifestyle. So you're going to want to, if you're doing it, you want it after a workout. That's when your body's actually most able to process those sugars. That's when it's most readily able to accept the higher blood glucose. And what you want your calories to be from your carbohydrates is anywhere from 30 to 65%. So, take whatever grams of protein you need, grams of fat you need, and then whatever you have left for your daily calories is how you would do the remaining, would be your carbohydrates. This is what's going to help fuel your exercise. It's what our body loves to run on. So whenever you get, done with a workout or something like that, you want to have carbs. It really helps in recovery, helps in muscle building too. There's fast and slow digesting. You want the faster digesting ones, like think of like white rice or anything that's like more processed. Generally we want to stay away from that, but after a workout, that's actually a really good thing to do, is have those simple sugars, whether that's from fruit or that's from, some sort of white rice, something like that. Basically that just means it has a little bit less fiber, so it doesn't take as long to digest. And then carbs are actually stored in muscles, liver, or in the fat. So when you eat carbs, it gets digested, all that good stuff. And then it's either going to go to your muscles that are working, they're burning up all this energy. And so what it burns is carbs in the form of glucose or glycogen. That's basically what our body stores it as. And it's going to be used when we're doing exercise and it needs to be replenished. So it'll go into the muscle, into the liver, or go and get stored as body fat. And then for metabolism, this is a big thing. This word gets thrown around a lot too. There's a lot of different processes that happen in the body. A big overview here is digestion of carbs, fats, and proteins. So this little diagram over here kind of shows you, all right, so here's carbohydrates. They get digested and they turn into glucose, which then either gets stored as fat or glycogen, is used to build something else, or it gets used for energy right away. And then fats, they get turned into, broken down through digestion into fatty acids or glycerol, which the fatty acids can go for, brain function or hormones, different things like that. That can either get stored, it can get used to build like hormones and other compounds, or it can be used for energy as well. Same thing with proteins. They get broken down into amino acids. There's essential and then there's not essential. Essential is things that you have to eat from your diet, and then the non-essential are the ones that your body can make itself. And those are stored as glycogen or fat. They can be used to build other proteins, like they can be used to build more DNA, help create more cells. It can help to build muscle, all these different things. And it also can be used for energy. And then a lot of people actually wonder where fat goes when it burns. Like, a lot of people don't know, like when you burn fat, where does it go? I actually didn't know this for a very long time until I took a class, and they pretty much explained the fat gets burned through the cycle, and then it's released, releases energy or ATP. And then the byproducts are CO2 and water. So CO2 is what you breathe out, and water is either lost through sweat or from breathing or from peeing it out. So that's where the fat goes when you burn it. And then for a breakdown of like what your daily energy expenditure is. So this means all the calories that you burn throughout the day. That's going to be through exercise. That's going to be through a living, breathing human. And it's also going to be through the thermic effect of food, which kind of gets talked about a little bit as a more important feature than it actually is. So as you can see there, there's activity energy expenditure. It actually only accounts for about 10 to 30% of your total calories. So like if you have a Fitbit tracker or a Whoop or something like that, and it tracks your workout and says you burn 400 calories, that's only about 10 to 30% of your total daily energy burn. Most of it comes from your resting metabolic rate. So what that is how much calories you burn if you just laid in bed all day and just existed, but your body's still doing processes. You're still thinking, you're breathing, your heart's beating, you are still moving slightly. And that's going to depend on, your body size, your height, weight, your age, gender, how much muscle you have. That also plays into it. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn just sitting around. So that's always really good when people come in and we're just like, yeah, you want to build more muscle because that way you can actually sit around and burn more calories that way. And then hydration. This is another big one. So we want to make sure that we're getting about half of our body weight in ounces of water a day. So if you're 120 pounds, you want 60 ounces of water as like a baseline to shoot for. And then you would add 16 ounces of water for every hour of like moderate, intense exercise, kind of breaking a sweat through that. It's okay if you're not there right now. Some days I struggle to get that much water in, but it's okay. Like it's just something to shoot for. If you get there, that's going to be what the optimal hydration is. The general recommendation is, I think it's 6 or 8 cups of, water, which would be about anywhere from 48 to 64 ounces a day. So it kind of depends on how big a person is. You like to measure it with, someone's weight, someone's height, something like that. Instead of just going off of a random number. It's not a one size fits all, as I'm sure some of you probably know that, nutrition is not one size fits all, and neither is hydration. Okay, so micronutrients. This is all of our vitamins and minerals that we're getting through our food or through a supplement. The more processed food is, then the less micronutrients it's going to have. The less processed it is, or like the more whole, unprocessed, the more micronutrients. So it kind of shows here, foods closer to nature, you're going to have more nutrients in them, higher fiber, more vitamins, minerals. That's going to be like your corn that you just went and plucked right off the plant and then you cooked it yourself. And then it kind of goes down the line of, all right, so now we have canned corn, and then there's popcorn, and there's corn flakes, and then there's corn tortilla chips. So as it gets more and more processed, there's less fiber and less nutrients in there. They often add in some, high saturated fat from poor quality oils, extra sugar and salt that doesn't need to be in there. So making sure that we're sticking on the foods closest to nature, that if you had them sitting out on the shelf for a couple of days, they would be spoiled. That's what you kind of want to stick with. And that kind of leads into food quality. So as you can see, these two pictures are pretty different in terms of food quality. There's probably a lot of different thoughts going on with those of, some of these can be really, really tasty, or as we like to call it, hyper palatable. That means that they're actually engineered, like they have food scientists working in a lab that run tests to see how can we make this food more tasty and how can we get people to eat more of it, and almost like ignore and trick their body out of that hunger, that fullness response. So there's actually been studies done where, they have to find that certain point of sugar or that certain mix of sugar and fat and salt that's going to make our brains go, we want more, even though we know we're having too much, but we can't stop eating it. So there's foods are actually engineered for that, versus the more natural foods on that left side. Those ones are going to help your body, and your body's going to be a lot happier when you eat those foods. It's going to feel better, and it's really going to enjoy, all the different nutrients it's going to get there. You're probably going to have more energy, versus the ones on the right. You're going to lead to crashes in energy. But, we do want to have a little bit of both. don't have everything that's, super healthy all the time. I do like to enjoy some treats now and then. So we kind of preach the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your calories or 80% of your food comes from the whole healthy food. So that's going to be like your blueberries, your spinach, your chicken, your rice, potatoes, all of that good stuff. So stuff that's closer to nature, 80% of it. Stuff that, would spoil if it got left out on the counter. And then, it's okay that 20% of your calories comes from, different candies or treats. It's okay to, enjoy yourself sometimes. Okay, next. So sleep. Sleep is a big thing, big part of nutrition. What can happen if you don't get enough sleep, which is, they recommend anywhere from 9 to 7 hours a night for an adult. It can cause you to gain weight, actually, because you're more likely to, want to lay around more or exercise less, skip exercise. You're more likely to overeat because you have more hunger hormones. You have some chemical imbalances and your body's not able to recover as well. And then you can have a decreased mental status. So more brain fog, you have a hard time remembering things. You got mood swings going all over the place, more likely to get cravings, and then, have some foods and then kind of swing back and forth, fall all the way off the wagon. Your immune system is actually weakened too. So your body defense system weakens because of less sleep. So your body's not able to recover. You have more risk of infections. And then it also impairs like your stress hormone response. So you're more likely to get stressed out, and the whole cycle just kind of continues. Some sleep tips. So you want to have like some sort of a nighttime routine, go at the same time, have a healthy sleep environment. So, turning down the temperature, you want it, between 60 and 70 degrees. You want to keep it nice and clean, make sure your sheets are washed and, it's not super messy in the room. Make sure you turn off your electronics a little bit before bed, because that blue light can trick your brain into thinking that it's daytime and that it's time to be up. Whereas, we're trying to fall asleep, but the blue light in the phone is keeping us up. You want to avoid like some large fatty meals before bed. So it's okay to have a little bit of a snack, but make sure to keep it small. Otherwise it can, keep you awake or not let you get into the deep phases of sleep. Try to not have as much caffeine. And then exercise actually helps with sleep too. Okay, so I'm going to go over supplements a little bit. So caffeine is actually a supplement, as well as, pre-workout, coffee, energy drinks, all of that. You want to keep it under 300 milligrams a day, which that equate to 3 cups of coffee. That could be 1 Bang or 1 Rain, depending on what you have. Or it could even just be 1 scoop of pre-workout, depending on which one you have. So trying to keep that lower so that way it doesn't disrupt your sleep. And then I found that the higher you go with caffeine, the more tired you actually feel. So trying to keep that under control is always really good. Then it gets into multivitamins. That's just there to pretty much fill in any gaps that your nutrition is missing. So even if you ate a really clean diet and, avoided all the processed foods, you probably still would be missing some of the vitamins that you need in your body. So it's good to just have that multivitamin in there as like I'll catch all for in case you are low in your diet in certain vitamins. Creatine is another really good one. This one's been studied extensively. It gets a lot of bad rap sometimes, but it's actually been proven to be very safe in doses of 3 grams to 5 grams. It helps with muscle building, bone density. It helps in recovery of joints and tendons. So if someone is not super active for a long time, it actually helps to prevent the loss of muscle, the loss of strength. And then it also helps in gaining muscle, gaining strength. So that's a really, really cool supplement that I really like to preach. Protein powder, another great supplement. Anyone can benefit from using that if they're struggling getting protein in. We don't want to rely on it too much. We still want to get most of our protein from whole foods, and then that's where BCAAs come in too. BCAAs are typically from, some sort of powder, or they can be put in drinks, but basically it stands for branched chain amino acids, which comes from protein. And then there's certain ones that while we're exercising, we use more of, like leucine, valine, things like that, which is what ends up getting put into these supplements. So whether it's in your pre-workout or it's a separate supplement on its own, they're getting added in. So those can also be beneficial intra-workout or post-workout. A lot of protein powders have them added in too. But you want to make sure that it comes from a quality source. So, have some sort of USP or NSF, which is safe for sport. Make sure that it has some sort of third-party testing. That way, it's credible, and you're not just taking things that got added in from who knows where and who knows what it is, making sure that it's got all that it says it is. All right, here's the big one. So alcohol. This is actually the fourth macronutrient. So this actually has 7 calories per gram, which is more than carbs and protein. So for calories wise, you might see on a White Claw, for example, it says 100 calories, but it only says 1 gram of carbs. Well, most of the calories is coming from the alcohol itself. So while you're doing, Tito's and water, or you're doing some sort of diet pop and Jack or something like that, you are still getting calories in there from the alcohol itself. What happens when you drink alcohol? It's not just about taking in liquid calories. You actually have worse recovery, dehydrates you. You're more likely prone to breaks and injury. You're going to have poor performance. So you're going to be more sore, have less coordination, less reaction time. Your body ends up starting to lose more of its key vitamins and nutrients. And then it increases your fat storage, estrogen, blood pressure, and then it also really affects your sleep. And then it can decrease like testosterone, your concentration, and your muscle growth and muscle tissue in general. And why this kind of happens is alcohol is a toxin to the body. So while it may, make you feel good or anything like that, that's just because alcohol is a toxin and your body's kind of freaking out. And what it does is it treats it like an ambulance. So if you see an ambulance going through and you got to move out of the way, slow down until it passes through, right? So what happens is alcohol is the ambulance going through your body. So as soon as you take that first sip of alcohol, it's that ambulance screaming through because your body wants to get it out as fast as possible because it's a toxin. So everything else is going to slow down, from digestion to exercise and your resting metabolic rate. And then it's actually going to prioritize burning the alcohol off versus the food you've eaten. And you're more likely to store those calories, whether it's alcohol or the food in your stomach, to fat when you drink it. That's because of it's increasing the fat storage hormones and, decreasing all those muscle building hormones. So you're more likely to gain fat, put on fat, and store whatever food is in your stomach to fat while it's in your system. So that's why if you want to have alcohol, it's okay. Just push it to the weekend. Don't have one drink every night because the effects add up and compound over time. So, if you just want to have one night, that's okay. Try to just have a few drinks. Your body can kind of handle that a little bit better, but you are going to get negative effects from it. There's no other way to avoid it. These are just the effects of alcohol. And if you want to do that for a night, that's completely fine. You can still get great results and still drink alcohol. All you want to do is just make sure that you appropriately plan ahead with having your nutrition on point, going and working out, and then making sure that, if you are drinking, making sure you're staying hydrated. Habits are a big part of this too. So making sure that we're having healthy habits, we do the 1% better every day. We say that a lot. So you either get 1% better and you go upward trajectory, or you get a 1% worse every day, get that 1% decline. And there's different things in the environment that you can kind of change to help with this. So making it obvious, making it attractive, making it easy and satisfying to do those right things and have those good habits. Mental fitness. So, focusing on what you can control, earning your confidence through hard work at the gym. You really got to train that inner coach instead of an inner critic. So if the voice in your head sounds more like a critic than a coach, then, that's something definitely to work on with that. Hormones is a really big part of nutrition, the body in general. Insulin is basically just a build hormone. So it means build muscle or build fat, something like that. Or glucagon is breakdown, and that means to break down muscle or break down fat. And depending on what you eat can trigger both. They're both important. We just want to make sure that they stay balanced and, we don't have one overriding the other. Cortisol and adrenaline, that's just the stress response. So that's produced after exercise, when you have a stressful day. And then that's also the opposite of insulin. So if you have an insulin spike, cortisol is going to go down. If cortisol is high, insulin will be down. And then ghrelin and leptin are the hunger and satiety hormones. So if you have higher ghrelin, then you're going to be hungrier. Higher leptin means you're more satisfied. Estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone are all the sex hormones. So testosterone is with like muscle building. Females have it too. There's like different times throughout the months that they have higher testosterone and they're more likely to build muscle and feel more energetic. And then there's some times where, there's higher of the female hormones, estrogen and progesterone can end up, having more water retention and all that. And then melatonin is another big one. That's basically, your nighttime darkness really turns on melatonin production. And then that's what's going to make you sleepy and be able to sleep better. This is kind of a good little description of like how to make it work. Timeline for like a student athlete to wake up, when they can eat their meals, when they can get enough sleep in, and then some different snacks in there to kind of make it work, like a RX bar or a protein shake, some trail mix, some different cut up fruits and vegetables. And here's for a parent. So, if they got to get up and get breakfast, go to work, get the kids ready, and then still get their hour workout in, they can still do it and still get a decent amount of sleep at night by waking up at 5 a.m. Seems super early, but then they'll be in bed by 10. You can still get all that you need to get done in there and have it all planned out. And then this is just like a good little measurement for plates in case, you don't really want to do the macro tracking. So you have, fruits and vegetables, your lean protein, your grains, just in different moderations throughout, whether it's an easy training day or a hard training day. So you want to just have more carbs if it's harder training. Okay. And then, so results, getting into like performance versus aesthetics and longevity, you just kind of want to know where your goals are with that one. So whether you're more performance goals, aesthetic, or longevity goals, just knowing where you are on that triangle is really going to help with your goal setting. And then for getting results, like you want to make sure that you're having different periods of like it's go time, and then you want to make sure that you're having your periods of recovery. That way, you're not over stressing the body. Having some time off, it's completely fine. You don't have to be go, go, go all the time. And just maintaining, that's completely fine. Like summertime, a lot of people do that, where they can enjoy their foods, take some time off, maybe not hit the gym quite so hard, but then their season is like wintertime where it's like, all right, I am in the gym. I am dialed in on the nutrition. It doesn't have to be all or nothing all year long. It's actually better if you're not all or nothing all year. And then when it comes to like an aesthetic goal, a lot of it's going to come down to adherence. So like most of it comes from calories and macros. So if you have those two things in line, 80% of results are going to come from that. And a lot of people like to focus on the supplements, the hydration, what your food's made of, and meal timing. And that's only 20% of where results come from when you're just looking to look better or to lose weight. But none of that's going to be possible or helpful without you adhering to it. So just making sure, focusing on the big things of calories, macros, make sure you're sticking to that. Then you can worry about, am I eating too late? Am I eating too early? What kind of supplements do I need to take? That's just, very small, fine-tuned things. Okay, and then when it comes to longevity, you just want like a slight calorie deficit. You want to make sure that you have really good food quality, and then you want to have healthy lifestyle habits. When it comes to performance, you want to make sure that, you have calorie maintenance or a small surplus. So if you're really trying to gain strength, you're trying to really improve your times on Metcons, different stuff like that, you're training for a race, any of those, macros are kind of specific to that training. So you want more carbs if you're doing like strength training, or if you're doing the high intensity like CrossFit, you want to gain strength. And then fats and endurance is more for endurance. So that's the kind of fuel that your body uses during, long runs, long bikes, walks, that sort of thing. And then food quality, the importance kind of varies. Like it's okay if it's not the cleanest as like, the longevity goals, but you still want to have some sort of quality in there to limit inflammation, like I had kind of mentioned earlier. And then for pre-workout, post-workout, and middle of the workout nutrition, it's basically carbs, before, during, after. If it's a longer workout, like if it's longer than an hour, then you can consider adding some carbs in there. And then pre-workout, post-workout, you want to add some protein. So anywhere from like 20 to 40 grams of protein is usually good. Got some different ideas up there for meals that you guys can do before a workout, afterwards, and then have the carbohydrates in there too. Okay, does anyone have any questions?